So guys, let's talk about how much money I make from every sale of one of these turtle fidget clickers, okay? So over here, you'll see that we have all of these different styles. We have 7 different fruit-themed turtles. We have the dragon fruit, strawberry, apple, orange, blueberry, kiwi, and watermelon. But in this video specifically, we're gonna go over exactly how much money I make from every sale of one of these fruit turtles. I'm gonna go over the cost of the hardware, in this case, the lobster claw and the keychain, the lobster claw and the key ring, the clickers, and then obviously the 3D printed parts, and also the cost of our bags, our boxes, and how we ship these out to customers. All right, so let's first talk about the 3D printed parts required to assemble each of these fruit turtles. So here we have 7 different bins. Each bin, as you can see, is specific to its own fruit turtle theme. So this is the bin for the orange turtle, watermelon, dragon fruit, etc. So to give you guys an idea, it's essentially the bottom of the turtle like this. This is 3D printed. And then we have 7 keycaps that go around the back of the turtle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you'll see that on the back, on each of these, oh, I gotta tell you something. All right, so each of these turtles, basically you have the base of the turtle, which is this guy, and then there's 7 different caps that look like this, that go around the back of the turtle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that create the back of the turtle. So in terms of what's 3D printed, it's basically this and then these pieces. And we'll go to Bamboo Studio to get the exact cost to 3D print something like this. For the most part, all the turtles kind of cost the same amount in terms of the amount of plastic that's being used. All right, up next is the hardware. So this is a little unique in that you kind of have to have some additional hardware to assemble these. And the additional pieces of hardware are basically the lobster claws and the key rings. So we buy these all from Temu. They're super cheap. The lobster claws, I didn't know these were called lobster claws. I thought these were just called like key ring hooks. But basically the lobster claws and the rings is what we buy. And I'll get the cost of these into our calculation as well. And then up next are these switches. So I sourced these from a couple different places. These here, these glorious Kill white switches, were all sourced from Micro Center. These in these black bins are from AliExpress. So if you just see here, they're essentially the same thing. These, as you can see, have these 2 metal pins on the back that need to be clipped off. So we use flush cutters and we have to clip these metal pins off manually. And then basically this guy sits right in one of these slots on the back, and then you put the keycap 3D printed top right on top of it. So 7 of these are required to complete a turtle. So 7 of these clickers, 1 keyring, and 1 lobster claw. So that is it for the hardware that's needed to assemble the turtles. All right, so I'm back at my computer. Unfortunately, I do not have OBS on my desktop at the warehouse. I only have it at my home computer. So I'm just gonna show you some of my calculations here in terms of margin. We're gonna go basically from the top down. Pretty straightforward, and I'm gonna go over each one of these in full detail for you guys, so you guys can understand sort of what exactly profit margin means and your net profit for the products that you're selling. So first and foremost, this is on the TikTok platform. This is not on Amazon. This is not on Etsy. This is on TikTok, and just because I have these, it's just because I have these numbers readily available because I've been selling this product on TikTok. So I have kind of all the information here in terms of TikTok's fees and all that stuff. So first and foremost, I sell this for $16.99 on TikTok, and I charge $5.55 for shipping, which brings my total sale price, which is basically the sum of these two numbers, to $22.54. This means that for every sale for 1 single unit, I am bringing in $22.54 in revenue. So if I go back to what this, we'll get down there. Anyways, this is our revenue in green, and then down here, let's work on our expenses in terms of the cost it costs me to actually make this product and sell it. So first and foremost, TikTok's fee is 6%. It's 6% of the total sale price. So including, it's 6% of the sale price and the price you're charging for shipping. So that's why it's 6% off $22.54, which is $1.35 that TikTok takes for their fee just for selling on their platform. Second expense is our shipping cost. I put this at $4.50. This is just an average of our shipping cost since we ship this manually. Some of the orders, since we're on the East Coast, if someone's buying on the East Coast, the shipping fee could be somewhere around, you know, the high $3, maybe $3.80, $3.90. And if someone's buying from California, sometimes the shipping fee is as high as $5.50. So I just put the shipping fee in the middle at $4.50 as an average of how much you're paying for shipping. Again, this might vary depending on where you live. If you're in the Midwest or in Central, it depends. Next is the hardware that we need to make these. So the lobster claw and the lobster ring come out to about 10 cents each, and that is for both the lobster claw and the ring. And I'm able to get this down super cheap because my wife buys these things on Temu. She gets a lot of items for free for buying stuff for the business. So some of these lobster claws come out to be free. I don't even pay for them. So secondly, we have the clickers. So the clickers is the most expensive expense here, because you see here that we need 7 of these clickers, right? As I showed you previously in the other video, in the other clip, you need 7 clickers for each turtle. So if my math is correct, 7 clickers, and I buy these for about 27 cents each right now. So 7 times 27 cents is where you get the $1.89. And I am trying to get my expenses lower for these by buying directly from the manufacturer that don't have the pins. So that will save me a lot of time. Right now I am buying from Popular Print's website. She sells the clickers without the 2 metal pins. But just at the volume that I'm selling at, I don't want to keep buying all of her stock. But anyways, that is where the cost for the clickers comes in, which is this $1.89. Next up we have is labor. So labor is a combination of the time it takes to assemble one of these clickers. One of these turtles. So that includes the time to snip off the 2 metal ends of the clickers, to assemble the 3D printed turtles, the keyring and the lobster claw, and also the time it takes to individually package one of these turtles in a box. So that includes assembling the box and all that stuff. So this amount here is just an estimate. For instance, if I'm paying somebody $20 an hour to solely do this, and they can probably make. So this number is just sort of an estimate, assuming I'm paying somebody $20 an hour just to assemble turtles. They could probably assemble about 30 an hour. You can probably get this down a little bit more. This is just an estimate that I have here. It could be a little bit less. Depends also if you want to pay somebody $20 an hour. It could be $18 an hour. That person can make 40 to 50 instead of 30. But this is just a very conservative estimate because I don't have just one person assembling these turtles. The people who work here do other things than just assemble turtles. So I just put this in this calculation just to show you guys what it would be like if you were actually just to pay somebody a full-time wage just to assemble the turtles. Next up, we have our cost for our box. It comes out to about 25 cents. We buy our boxes from Uline. Our 4x4x4 boxes are bought from Uline. Electrical costs, since everybody and their mother always complains that I don't include the cost of electricity into my calculations, I'm just going to put this at 10 cents. Again, this also varies depending on where you live. Up here in the Northeast, I'm paying about 11 cents per kilowatt hour, and you can get a pretty accurate time on and cost if you really wanted to. I'm just going to put 10 cents. I don't even think it costs 10 cents for this. But anyways, I included it in my calculation. Next is the 3D print cost. So over here on Bamboo Studio, you'll see that I have a plate. This is how I print my turtles. I print 6 on a plate. Secondly, I also changed my cost here to $12 per kilogram. Honestly, it's probably a little bit lower. It's probably like $9 for single color PLA. But for this calculation, I'm using $12 per kilogram. It's not going to make a huge difference. But you'll see that after I slice the turtle, my cost here is $2.65. And in my 3D print cost here, in my formula, I have $2.65 divided by 6, because there's 6 turtles on this plate. So that's my cost per turtle base. And then obviously we have the keycaps, the turtle backs here. So same type of analysis, $1.54. There's 13 sets here on the plate. So my calculation, I have $1.54 divided by 13. So that brings my total cost to 3D print one of these in terms of the raw plastic down to 56 cents per turtle. Okay, and that does include filament changes, flushing of purging of colors and whatnot. So our total expenses is $9.41, right? And so our net profit per sale is essentially just the $22.54 that we make per sale less our expenses, which is $9.41, and we come out to a net profit of $13.13 per sale of a turtle. Now, in terms of percentages, and this is what I always like to look at, 58.24%. Okay, this is my net. This is my profit margin. So what does this mean? So what does that number represent? That means that every sale, every $1 that I make from selling this item, I'm getting roughly 58 cents back in profit. And that money can be used back to reinvest into your business. You can use it to pay rent, pay employees, all that other stuff. But let me show you guys something actually pretty cool and pretty interesting here. Right, if you were to take the same analysis and apply a 15% off sale to your sale price, right? So instead of selling it for $16.99, we're selling it for now $14.44, which is basically just 15% off. Everything else stays the same, right? Shipping, all this other stuff, everything else stays. The only thing that you're changing is your price that you're selling it at. You'll see here that the calculation here, your profit margin drops from 58 to 53.68. So that is only a 4.56% change in your gross profit margin, and that is after you apply a 15% sale on the sale price. So I'm just showing you this to show that it's not a linear sort of calculation here, right? If you're dropping your price by 15%, you're not dropping your net profit by 15%. It's only going down by 5%. And conversely here, if you do a 15% increase in price on this calculation, you'll see that the sale price now is $19.54. Everything else kind of stays the same. For the most part, your profit margin is only increasing by 3.63% from your original sale price of $16.99. So this gives you kind of a good, okay, so what does this analysis actually mean? So this means that at a 58% profit margin, I'm able to spend upwards to, let's say, between 1 and 57% in ad spend and still be profitable. Now, obviously, I don't want to be spending 57% in ads and just making 1% profit margin. That's really dumb. Right now on TikTok, I probably spend about 33% in ad spend, which would bring my true profit margin down to about 25%. So 25% profit margin after my ad spend. And you know, after you look at this analysis, you can kind of see where you can really increase your profit margins, right? There's only really 2 ways to increase your profit margin. One is to increase the top part here, basically increase your price, or reduce your expenses. These are the only 2 ways that you can increase your profit margin. And your sale price is kind of up to you. You kind of have to figure out where the market is in terms of where people will buy the product, right? You don't want it to be priced too high where you're only making a couple sales per day. You don't want it to be priced too low where you're not making enough margin and you're not profiting enough. So this is totally up to you. I don't think there's a magical formula to calculate your sale price. Again, that is totally up to you. You can have a higher sale price and have no shipping fee so that the customer sees that there's no shipping fee. But then they'll be subject to a higher sale price. And also, one thing I wanted to note, a caveat to this whole calculation, is this is only related to a sale of 1 turtle. right? If somebody orders 2 turtles, the sale price would be $34, but they wouldn't be eating the shipping fee because the shipping fee would be free. So they would be paying $34 for 2, but they wouldn't be paying the $5.55 for shipping, but I still have to pay my shipping cost. So this calculation is only for 1 turtle. So kind of going back to what I was saying in terms of reducing or increasing your profit margin, here is where you can really play around with the numbers and get your costs down. So obviously the TikTok fee, this is pretty, this you can't change, okay? Shipping fee, again, this is variable depending on where you live, so that really doesn't change. It really comes down to your labor cost and your, like the raw material cost. So if you can get your 3D print cost down to, let's say, instead of 56 cents per turtle, if you get your filament cost reduced in half, just for instance, right? Let's say this brings down to like 40 cents. 40 cents instead of 56 cents. Electricity will leave the way it is. Your boxes, you might be able to get this down a little bit cheaper, let's say 0.21 cents instead of 25 cents. If you buy in bulk, well, let's say 23 cents. If you buy in bulk from certain box suppliers. Labor costs, you can get this down obviously if you spend a little bit less money on your labor, right? Let's just call it 60 cents per turtle assembled. And then your clickers, this is the biggest area where you can reduce your cost. So right now, like I said, I'm paying 27 cents per clicker. The manufacturer that I'm talking with can get this down to 21 cents per clicker. So if I change that to 21 cents, you'll see that the clicker cost drops almost by, what was that? 40 cents. And in addition with the reduction in the cost of the clickers, you're also reducing your labor costs because now you don't have to clip off those 2 metal pins. So really you can assemble even more turtles in a 1 hour period. So I think your labor costs would drop even more, probably to, let's say, 55 cents. Oops. Something like that. And just by doing these simple changes, you can see that your profit margin changed from, I think it was what, about 58.5% up to 61.3%. So roughly a 3% change in your total profit margin just by changing a few simple things and controlling your expenses a little bit more, buying your filament in bulk and reducing your overall cost per kilogram, other things like buying boxes in bulk. Now obviously most people might not be able to do this, buying in bulk, but this is just an example that you can see with actual numbers how dramatically it would change your numbers here. So if I'm selling 1,000 of these, right? So if you're selling 1,000 of these turtles, your net profit is going to be $13,837, as compared to your original calculation at 58.4% profit margin, right? The difference between these two numbers is roughly about $700, and the only change you're making here is just reducing your expenses just a little bit. And in conjunction with reducing your expenses, even if you increase your price by, let's say, $1, right? The difference now becomes, instead of $700, it's now, I can't even do the math on that, it's this minus, it's now $1,650 just by changing a few numbers in terms of your sale price and lowering your expenses. So you can do one or the other, or you can do both. Again, it all depends on the market and how much money you have in terms of how much you want to spend on ad spend and things like that. All right, I hope that sort of made some sense to you guys in terms of how I calculate my profit margin and how I use that profit margin number to spend and grow a product, and how much I can spend on ads, how much you can spend on ads on the platform, how much you can pay creators in terms of your commission rates and all that stuff. So again, it was just a quick example. If you guys have any questions or think that I missed anything in terms of my numbers, if they're wrong, please let me know in the comments below. The only thing I didn't really include is the rent cost for this space in my calculation, because rent's kind of a fixed expense and you can't really allocate that to one specific product. But Yeah, let me know what you guys thoughts. I will see you guys in the next video.